As the executive director, right, part of my job is to be constantly on the lookout for groups that we would want to partner with. If we're looking at rent control, we're going to partner with a group that is interested in working on rent control, or we're against rent control, right?
Okay, good. I was going to ask. I was like, Colin, this is recorded, brother.
You talk about it privately, we talk about it publicly. This is the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered Podcast. Welcome again to the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered Podcast. I'm your host, Twiggy, along with Crazy Uncle Keith.
Yes, sir.
We had Colin Allen, the Executive Director of the American Property Owners Alliance. You know them because they had a story written about them through the New York Times, the ever-accurate New York Times.
Here we go.
That had to retract the article to some degree because of what they wrote, which I find humorous. So we decided to get him on to talk about APOA because I don't think most people even know who they are. So
yeah.
Give us some background.
It was great. 20 years in DC. So that alone is worth picking someone's brain about just to understand how the sausage is made, so to speak. He does unpack what the American Property Owners Alliance is, who it helps, how it could help you as an industry professional. We dug in on affordability. Is it a real discussion in DC or not? He had some very thoughtfulness around that and what would work and what wouldn't. And then the big takeaway for me was just sort of this concept of if we could organize U.S. homeowners, and when you hear the number in the podcast, it's a giant number. And
Huge.
If we could really get the people who own a home organized to advocate for themselves direct to DC, a real difference could be created. And we could have a voice there for the constituency that we serve, right? We help the human beings who buy and sell houses. They should have a bigger voice in DC, and his group is the one that can help make that happen. You are going to love this conversation. Put it in your ears, kiddos.
Colin, welcome to the podcast.
Yes.
We are excited to have you for a variety of reasons, but not the least of which is, I don't think most people even know what APOA is. There was an article by a really fantastic news reporter
here we go.
that talked about APOA and NAR. We'll get into that. Sorry, I already threw that in there already, Keith. That was good. I didn't wait 2 minutes before I got into it.
Yeah, that was pretty much in the hello. Yep.
But we're excited to have you to go through just lots of questions, kind of introduce the industry to those that aren't aware. But I guess let's just start first. Give us your background on, how you got to this role, because I know you've got a big background in legislative policy and advocacy. I'll let you tell it better than I will. So we'll start there.
Well, great. James, Keith, thanks for having me. Good to be here. It's, funny enough, we're here. It's like, I was looking at it the other day. It's almost exactly 20 years since I came to DC. So I think it was like August of 2005 was when I came here. And it's kind of a story of, being in the right place at the right time, knowing the right people, a lot of networking, and being able to talk somewhat intelligently about the issues. I had a friend of a friend, kind of point me to a senator's office here in DC. That didn't work out. They said, go down the hall. And again, walked in, was able to talk about BMWs, Fujifilm, and boiled peanuts, and that was the door opener, right? You're able to get in and talk about that, and ended up getting in and having a good legislative career there in the Senate.
So you door knocked your way to a Senate gig? The first door was opened for me. The second was, the friend of a friend. Yeah,
right?
There you go. I like it.
From there, funny enough, established the realtor relationship. I'd been there for about a year, and the first meeting I got to take as a legislative staffer was with the South Carolina Realtors. Had about 50 folks show up in my office. Got a call from the boss about 2 minutes before that. Hey, stuck in a committee hearing. You're on your own for this one. Sweet. So got to talk with some of South Carolina's finest there for about flood insurance and home ownership in a very, very packed room. My friend Ken Wingert, who's now he's now the head of the advocacy over at the Home Builders, was in the room with them. And after I'd been on the Hill for a few years, he called me up one day and said, hey, we're looking for somebody with a little bit of Senate background over at the Realtors. would you be interested? Happened to be about that time I was interested in looking around and kind of came over here and talked to the team here and moved over to the Realtors in about 2012, and then was at the Realtors for a little over 10 years, 11 years, and then in 2020 we had this initiative where we decided we were going to spin up a consumer organization, to engage homeowners and individual property owners to advocate on their behalf here in DC. This was kind of the beginning of the American Property Owners Alliance, right? We decided it would be a good idea to have an independent organization to engage in those kinds of activities. So we're able to do that, and kind of under Shannon McGann's tutelage and direction here. Again, happened to be there and express interest at the right time. So and here we are today.
That's awesome. Cool. You were at NAR for 10 years, that right? Does he get that right? Around 10 years?
Yeah, it was a little over 10. Yep.
Okay. And then, so Shannon McGann's a friend of the show. We've had her on a few times. So shout out to her. But you then went, so NAR it was basically the one that helped start the APOA. So did I get that right?
Correct. Yeah. You may remember having seen, there was an initiative called Homeownership Matters. It was an NAR branded, kind of grassroots campaign, and we kind of learned from some of the things that we did in that initiative, and one of them was having an independent organization that can stand up is a little bit more appealing to homeowners and folks outside the industry. So that was one of the reasons that we really kind of leaned in and kind of spun this up as an independent standalone group rather than an internal branded organization.
That's fascinating. We'll go into a lot of questions on this. I'm curious, like how that conversation started and what prompted that discussion, but we'll get there. Keith, did you have a follow up? Because my friend, you must always do.
Of course I do.
Yeah. Okay.
20 years in Washington, D.C. What's the biggest difference? What's the biggest difference today versus 20 years ago in how the sausage is made in D.C.?
So, it's kind of the keeping the trains running side of things, right? I think when I came in, if I'm remembering correctly, the 2005 was the last year that we did that Congress did all of the regular appropriations bills. Since then, it's been CRs, which is a continuing resolution. It's been short term, or lumping it all together and doing it all at once. And that has really, I think it's made it harder or tied a lot of the business that you would do to the appropriation side of things, right? You've got a handful of things that have to move and everything kind of hitches a ride rather than, kind of considering things on an individual basis.
Gotcha.
It's different. It's made it a little bit more difficult, but you're looking at things in large chunks rather than individually once you get past that committee process.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
let's do a rapid fire.
Rapid fire, right? Yeah. So this one's selfish because I like books and podcasts. So your favorite book or podcast this year ever? When you reread, when you share the most, and why?
This year, so really, I read a lot of nonfiction and legal and legislative text at work, so I try to be kind of escapist.
The last two, I'm not interested in at all. So
I just try to go escapist and do a lot of sci-fi, fantasy type stuff outside. Okay. This year, I got into the Red Rising series with Pierce Brown. Read, I think, the first 4. I haven't finished the whole series yet, but knocked out the first 4 earlier in the year.
I'll check it out.
Really good. If you like the kind of dystopian future type stuff,
I work with James. Cool. I live in a dystopian future.
Seriously, it's like therapy all day, nonstop. Oh, I said that out loud.
Awesome.
That was weird.
I'll check it out. Yeah, thank you.
Trying to get the kids into.
Yeah, right. You could have lunch with one person, current historical. Who would it be and why? I'm really curious.
All right. So as a good UVA grad, right, I think I'd get disowned if I did not say Thomas Jefferson. It's one of the, the 3 things on the tombstone, right, is founder of the University of Virginia, right, author of the Declaration of Independence, the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, and founder of the University of Virginia. So I think it'd be and we're in interesting times, right? I think talking to one of the founders could provide a lot of insights into what might be going on.
Like, what the hell did you guys mean when you wrote this? Right? Like, you would I just see you like rolling up there with like the case of the Declaration of Independence, right? Still in its case, and you're bringing that to lunch. And you're like, bro, couldn't you be a little more clear on this one?
But like, it's a lot has happened since then, right?
That's true.
And what did you really mean when you wrote this? And does it apply to everybody? Did it?
And the looks on people's faces when the answers aren't what they wanted the answers to be, and they're like, really? Ooh, that's interesting.
We've been debating this stuff in legal circles for the last
for years.
250 years, right?
Weird. All these cases are now overturned. All right, well, jumping into the main questions, we got a lot for you. So let's, as I kind of alluded to, let's go back to the beginning. Take us back to, as much as you can. I understand there's some confidentiality, but you was founded a few years ago. What's its mission? And then, like, how big is it? Give us sort of like you had this idea, this homeownership matters. What's the mission to start up this consumer? Let's just, I guess, say something that's more about the consumer than necessarily the realtor brand. Is that a fair statement to say, or is that not a fair statement to say?
For sure, right? And I think, it kind of came out of this genesis of there are a ton of issues on the legislative and the policy side that there is overlap between what the industry does and what a homeowner or an individual property owner, like mom and pop, kind of small property owner needs, right? And they don't necessarily see that. And having the branded outreach is not always convincing, right? This was a little bit of the foundational research that we did there. You go out and talk to people in focus groups and polls and things like that, and say, if you were approached about, tax issues for your home, how would you view the group that is approaching you? If it was over here, whether it was a realtor branded, is it the homeowner or home builder? Something like that. If it is an industry-based group, how do you feel about that versus an independent organization over here founded to represent your views, right? So it's really kind of threading that needle there of where there's a significant overlap between what is good for both the industry, which we were advocating for already, and then seeing that you've got 82 million homeowners out here, or homeowning families out here that share a lot of the same interests, but don't necessarily have the time to advocate on their own behalf, or really the resources to be informed about a lot of the issues. So being able to deliver that and kind of serve it up in a way that is timely and targeted and understandable for them is a huge part of the mission.
And there hasn't been anybody out there filling that spot thus far, like until you guys. There wasn't already some sort of national organization for homeowners. By the way, that's not rhetorical. I actually don't know. So,
there really isn't, right? Like, I think there had been several industry attempts, right? There was the Homeownership Matters. There had been several other, kind of smaller attempts at doing this, but there's not an AARP, there's not a AAA, right? Like out there, really advocating for homeowners and homeowner issues. So that is kind of the niche that we saw there when we were looking to do to stand the organization up was, we've got all these issues that are overlapping and a whole bunch of people who are out here and are underutilized in their efforts, right? Let's try to bring them to the table and get them involved in the process.
I have one more follow-up, Keith, and then you can take it. Just because my brain's on this one spot. So you guys did some, I'm assuming, research of some type, and you found out that there needed to be a different association or brand or whatever representing homeowners than necessarily the realtor brand. Can you go, I may be saying that wrong, but can you go a little deeper on what that was, on why you were like, we can't do this under this banner, let's go help create something different? Can you go a little deeper on that for me?
For sure. Yeah. And we had, I was less involved in the Homeownership Matters side of things, but it had, kind of come through, and you'd seen some successes here and some, it was working okay, right? Like, but it's kind of like the digging in and trying to figure out, what is it that kind of takes this concept, right, to the next level. So when we did some background research on it, what you find when you talk to people is that if you have that kind of industry branding on it, right, you lose about half the people out of the box because they say, oh, this is a group over here that is, they've got skin in the game on the transaction side or whatever, right? And they're really looking out for their members not me as the homeowner. Right.
Yeah, you're trying to remove any perceived bias, right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah,
It's very much like, we are here for you, on the homeowner side to represent your views and your opinions.
How big are you guys now?
So
how big is the?
Yeah. Again, the way we look at it, right, is our goal is to engage over time all 82 million homeowning families. We work off of a list that's about 10 million right now, and then depending on what issues we're working on and where we're going, we'll leverage third party resources and things like that to hit the audiences that are really appropriate, right? I think our goal in the when we're trying to move legislation or policy or influence the discussion is finding that right group and being targeted and timely in the way that we activate, right? It's
what do they pay? What does the homeowner pay to be part of the association? I just want to get some of these details.
Yeah, right now, this is a free service. Again, okay. Right? We're able to offer that. At some point, right? Do we get to where we're AAA, where we're an AARP? Yes. I would like to be there one day. We're not there yet, but yeah, this would be ideally, at some point. This is we provide that kind of benefit in addition to just the legislative piece, but there would be some like member benefits kind of stuff, and that it would be like you would see. AARP has kind of always been held up as the organization that we would like to emulate. It took them 60, 70 years to get where they are. We're in the early stages, and I think they started out right as a company selling insurance to teachers. So
yeah, they must have some money because they've been mailing me a lot lately. Like my mailbox is full from the AARP. Oh, hey, yeah. I got a question, a little off track. Sorry, James. So that's wild to me that there was not a homeowners advocacy group prior to you forming one with trillions in property values and multi-billions in equity. Uh-huh. There was nobody sort of felt like maybe those people should have a voice. And then my follow-up question is, it seems like for the first time in a while, housing affordability is a real discussion in DC. Yep. And if you can unpack that a little bit too. So first, how in the hell did it take so long? And then sort of, is affordability a real discussion now in DC, or are people just talking in a microphone to get votes?
So on the advocacy organization side, right? Yeah. Homeowners are busy, right? You guys own your own homes. You're doing a lot of things. They don't have time to start it on their own, right? And this was kind of where we were looking at it from the industry side, is there's a lot of overlap. It would be advantageous to both sides, right, to have everybody engaged in this discussion. And we've got some time and some resources. Let's invest this here and get a voice out there for homeowners, because you see it kind of happen more organically, right, at the local level, but that's where it stops, right? Right. As a property owner, I'm more likely to go and speak at a county board meeting, right? Than I am to say, oh yeah, is there a national organization that advocates for me on
that could give me a discount on a water deduction heater, right?
Yeah. No, exactly, that kind of stuff too, right? And what's that value proposition? And then
part two is affordability in DC. Yeah, is it a real discussion, or are people just pandering for votes?
I think it really is, right? Because it is starting to pop when you look at the public opinion, the polling data, right? This is now starting to pop out as you've always seen it as part of kind of general economy and cost of living, right? Now it's actually starting to pop out in the open-ended questions in Gallup as the number two of housing affordability is a big deal, and the way that we look at that. And the way that we're discussing it, right, is this is all driven by housing supply, right? If we had a kind of the right sized housing supply and could cut down on regs and build more and get more starter homes into the market, right, we'd have more opportunity for folks to get out there and own their own home and really invest in that. The largest source of wealth generation for most families in America, right? And it's because of that constrained supply, people are starting to view that American dream as something that's increasingly out of reach. And that's
unattainable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that is definitely a worry on this end, right? we don't want to get to a point where they check out, right?
Yeah, we'll have to have you back. You and I can do a full debate on affordability and potential solutions for it. I don't want to eat up all the time today with that, but
glad to.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's at least gone from something that's casually mentioned from time to time to a serious discussion point. So
I mean, it is a real problem. I mean, we all know on this pod that it is. Everybody's listening knows it's a problem and getting worse. We've talked about it with just all the other things that are added to it. Let me ask you this, because I want to make sure as I go through this, we had a bunch of questions we wanted to ask because there's only been some limited reporting on, APOA. So you're partially funded by NAR. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then where does the other funding come from? And then I want to ask a follow-up after that.
Yeah, we are funded by NAR.
Got it. Okay. And then I guess my question related to this conversation, how do you ensure the independence of the relay? Meaning so we created this organization for the consumer because the consumer was like, there's bias, but how does that relationship stay separated so that there isn't that influence to some degree, which I'm not opposed to, by the way. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, no. And again, right, I think you get back to these being complementary organizations, right? There are a ton of legislative and policy priorities that really overlap in that area. And our board and the way that the organization, the alliance was stood up, it is stood up as, it's not an affiliate. It's actually an independent organization. And once the board is appointed, they operate, independently of, and they're given funding and allowed to kind of run. Again, it's not that it operates in a vacuum, right? Right. As
because the issues are obviously similar anyway. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So there is a lot of discussion back and forth, and it is, again, where we're looking to do is make sure that we're complementing and moving forward those policies that are important to homeowners, and kind of amplifying that discussion that's already coming from the industry side of things.
So we had one press piece which got attention from New York Times by Deborah Kamen, who I'm not even gonna get started on that, but she threw a lot of stuff out that it was just inaccurate. I believe she had to retract some things as well after the article came out. She's basically just stating it's an arm of NAR. As you've just answered, they're completely separate. Your board, do you have to appoint people? I guess my question would be who's on the board to help decide those decisions of where it goes? Is it consumers that are on the board too? Is it just you guys? Is it NAR? How does that operate from a oversight?
Yeah. So right now, again, NAR is our governing member. So our board members are appointed right now by NAR.
Got it.
And
okay.
Sent over. Yep.
Okay. So I wanted to ask, you guys also give out grants, right? I read some information that you guys do grants to different organizations. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, grant making is part of the mission.
So talk to us about what's the process for deciding who to partner with, and then what are some of the foundations or organizations that have received those grants?
Yeah. So, as the executive director, right, part of my job is to be constantly on the lookout for groups that we would want to partner with, right? If we're looking at rent control, right, we're going to partner with a group that is either interested in working on rent control or is out there actively talking about policies that are. And again, I'll make sure we are against rent control, right?
Okay, good. I was going to ask. I was like, Colin.
I will say for the record that
Colin, this is recorded, brother.
That we are strongly opposed to rent control. So partnering with organizations there that are going to also be vocal in their opposition to rent control policies, right? If we're looking at something like down payment assistance or monetary assistance to first-time home buyers, we're going to partner with an organization that that kind of supports that. And then, we've got a fairly significant initiative focused on looking at increasing Black and brown homeownership, right? So we partner with organizations who are active and vocal in Black and Hispanic communities, on homeownership issues, right? We were in Chicago this past weekend, did two events up there, and partnered with the Douglas Leadership Institute and the National Black Empowerment Council up there. They've been our long-term partners on these events as we're going out in the community and doing these events on the education side, and we have worked with them in the past and will continue to work with them in the future. So it's, I think we started those events 3 or 4 years ago, and started probably a few dozen folks in the room. We had almost 250 people in the room at Faith Movers Church in University Park on Sunday this past week. So we're moving on and looking to have more of these as we're going through the country this year.
Nice.
Give me the idea of, so let me back into this. I've been extremely vocal and probably one of the few people that has said it. I'm going to piss some people off, but it's fine. I've been very vocal about the fact that the realtor brand, while I love it, to be clear, so it doesn't start sending me hate mail, it doesn't mean anything to the American consumer. They don't know the difference between a realtor and a real estate agent, and we should just stop trying to explain the difference because I think it's absolutely futile and a waste of money and time. Now, James Twiggin's opinions, some people can agree, whatever it might be. But what I have been very vocal about, which is why we're here, is that I think there's a significant opportunity to take, you said 82 million homeowners, is that right?
82 million homeowning families, right? Yeah.
So I look at this and I go, we've got an industry that's changing. I've also been vocal that I think realtor membership will drop, not due to things other than evolution of technology, the industry, there's too many realtors, all of the above, whatever. But there's a big opportunity for us to move this thing into being much more of a consumer brand that people care about because it's for their needs. The analogy I've given is that analogy. I'm going to again irritate some people, but the NRA did a very good job for a long time of figuring out how to get its base riled up on any issue and collect $10, $15, $20, etc. They were very good a while ago at getting that base. Here's the question. How do we get more people to be aware of the APOA and get behind it so that we're adding value to what our industry does, which is actually protecting homeownership rights and all of those things, but also doing it in a way that the homeowner wants to donate $20 or $30 or $50. Because if I knew that you were fighting those policies in DC, I mean, I'm happy to write a check. You double that check, triple that check. I don't care because I don't want people screwing up my property values. So that's a long-winded question, but nobody really knows about APOA. What is the plan to get more awareness on it?
Please send me your friends and family. That would
great.
If they're all willing to kick in $30, then I think we could do a lot.
I think with the right message, I actually believe people would. I just don't think that message is out there.
And you've hit on a couple of really important things, right? One of we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's getting people interested, right, and finding the folks who have time to engage, right. Doing some audience segmentation, right? We've done a little bit of that work. Who are your most likely homeowners to engage on these things? They tend to be, folks who don't have kids at home, right? They're older, they've lived in their home for a longer time, right? That's your kind of low hanging fruit, right? And a lot of those people may be AARP
you can
members,
just say
right?
boomer. You can say boomer on this podcast. That's okay. Yeah, that's not a bad word here. Go ahead.
For sure, right? They've got a lot invested in their community, a lot invested in their home. They got a lot of free
time,
right?
So,
and they've got free time and resources, right? Like I think that's your kind of low hanging fruit, right? And then you're looking for your folks who are you involved in a political campaign? Have you given to a charity? Did you vote in a local election? Right? Like these are the kind of things that we are actively looking at, and when we're doing outreach and targeting to folks in the communities, have you come to an APOA event? how are we, getting these folks, once, twice, 3, 4 times down the road, but really identifying the folks who are the highest propensity to be involved in an organization, and kind of actively going after them.
I think this is a big conversation. Again, just giving my opinion, but I think that there has to be separation more from. It either needs to be that this is what NAR becomes, or there needs to be more separation on funding so that it doesn't look like it's just another brand that's trying to push the same thing. But yeah. I love it. To be clear, I'm fully supportive of this. I want to just be clear with my message. I just sitting here going like, there's got to be a way to attract 82 million people to want to donate $10, $15, $20. I mean, take the NRA's playbook for that matter. They were exceptional at getting anybody to be like, they're going to take my guns and boom, they donate, right? So like, how do we get, they're going to screw up my property value, donate $20. Like I'm thinking about like where we go with this. The fact
what percentages can be affected by the federal government and what percentage can be affected by local? Right? Like how tied are your hands, right? Because I've seen some changes in what's been coming out federally, and I think they're good. And then they get to the local level, and I mean, at least in my city where I live, everything dies because there's massive NIMBYism. They don't want any more growth. They don't want they like it just the way it is. And they don't want to change a thing. So how do we deal with that?
And I think that is like, that's kind of where we are, right? Is on the resources side, we are resourced right now to be a federal advocacy organization, right? Moving to that next level and engaging folks at the local level where this happens. I think that's kind of in the playbook for the next few years, right? Is kind of how do we expand and move down that ladder, because so many of these decisions, when you're talking about NIMBY, YIMBY, I live in Arlington, Virginia, right? We currently have a court stay on the missing middle proposal that the county put through, right? It is a very, very hot topic, and people get very excited about it on both sides, right? So kind of leaning in and working those issues is where we are doing the messaging at the national level. Kind of the next step is to get those resources like James was talking about, and really be able to expand and align ourselves with groups on the local and state level as well.
I mean, that's the thing that NAR does well right now is they've got the ability to activate what Shannon's got 65 people on her team, roughly somewhere around there. And then, right. They've got obviously state and then local, and they have this network to activate their political advocacy. But Keith's comments very valid. How do you get people to want to donate, but then also get them past changes that obviously affect their own income? This is a big conversation because I think it's really relevant. I was excited to have you on. I have not been shy about the fact that the realtor or realtor associations are going to have to change. They cannot operate in the same capacity. There's no future for them if they continue to do it in the same capacity they are today. And I'm looking at the numbers of, 2.5 million licensed agents or 1.5 million realtors shrinking versus 82 million homeowners. I'm like, shit, that's a big group of people we could be targeting, right?
It's a big pool, right? And they are, much like the grassroots and grass tops network of NAR, right? Like these are folks they're your friends, they're your neighbors, right? Like they're homeowners and kind of property owners. Like their opinions matter, and this is kind of one of the things that we're trying to do, right? Is find those opinion influencers, right? Whether they be actual like online influencers, or it is, the neighbor of Congressman XYZ, to kind of supplement that effort there.
Hey, Colin, two things. One, I'm really excited that you said out loud that you were going to abolish property taxes in the United States. So that's great news. No, just kidding. He didn't say that. I want to give you some, pretend you hired me as a consultant, because I think there's an opportunity here to marry what James is talking about and what you were talking about, because the real estate professional is hyper local, and they already have deep relationships with the community in and around and anchored to residential real estate. So why not use the residential real estate professional as your voice into the local market? And they can be the ones who are the megaphone for you. And rather than trying to go to direct to consumer, go direct to agent and have them be your advocate into the local market. Yeah.
And that
what are your thoughts on that?
I'd say that very much aligns with kind of where we are, procedurally, message wise, right? When we talk about, if you see the Alliance talking about, a trusted advisor in the program, right? We're not talking about the Alliance. We're not talking about Colin. It's seek out a professional who does this. And when we do our events in the communities, what we're trying to do is bring together real estate professionals, mortgage professionals, homeownership counseling type folks, right? And put the tools to get to a sustainable homeownership experience in the hands of folks who either are looking to protect that investment that they've already made, or to get that foot in the door and own a home. And I agree with you 100% there. On the property tax side, interestingly enough, we've done a little bit of looking into this.
Oh, okay. Holla at your boy. I don't have to send it in.
66% of Americans in a recent survey we put out there opposed or supported doing away with property taxes entirely.
Well, that's not surprising. Nobody wants to pay it.
Yeah. Has anybody voted for a tax?
And when you inform, right? It doesn't move. When you say you might have to give up police, fire, things like that, doesn't move. So it's an interesting.
What do you mean it doesn't move? It stays high?
Their opinions stay the same. Their opinions do not decrease when they hear that, and it is
until they call the fire department. They're like, sorry, we're a little busy, right? Then they're going to care.
So and it's one of those that's it's relatively consistent across party ideology as well. So
Americans are Americans. They bitch about everything until they don't have it, and then they want it back. So
and we did throw tea into a harbor over taxes once upon a time.
Fair.
So
that's fair.
Yeah, that has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Keith, did you have one more follow-up on that you wanted to throw out? Okay. So I guess one of the things that I was going to throw out, and then we'll get to a couple final questions, was, I love the idea of what Keith said. Implementing it scares me because right now associations can't get agents to read anything that they send them. I shouldn't say anything. I'm being a little facetious, but you get the point.
It's not unique, right? This is as we're doing social media and stuff like that, you're doing 15-second clips, right? This is not even if it's a 3-minute read, it's hard to get people to read things.
Well, and more importantly, agents who are trying to sell houses every day, especially over the last 3 years, of course, they care about their association, and they care about the National Association of Realtors, and they care about your organization, but not as much as they care about trying to pay their bills. Right. So if I'm trying to figure out which email I'm going to read in depth, it's probably not the email from my local MLS. You have to shape this through the lens of what real estate agents are really passionate about is taking care of their human beings that are in their sphere or in their orbit. Right. And they already have a hook in and around homeownership. So if you're talking to them about how you can advocate for the home, how you can help protect the equity that people have, how you can unlock future home buyers, they'll read that email because that email aligns with what they're struggling with, working on, focused on a day-to-day basis.
Yep.
Most of them aren't waking up trying to read a brief on a survey about homeownership opinion on Ring doorbells, right? They just don't care. They don't care. Right.
Yeah. All right, I'll ask one final, and then Keith can take us out with our last. So, just give me an idea of, you're a few years into this. How do you measure the success of this? Right. So I know it's early. I get the fact it's new, but take us down the line a few years. What is your measure of success? Loss past, influence? NAR is really trying hard to help people understand the advocacy that NAR does, which we all know is a lot, but 80% of the industry has no idea how much work is being done behind
What's going on.
And I worry that how do we not end up in the same bucket where APOA is here, but nobody knows about it, nobody knows what you're doing, etc. So give me an idea of what you classify as success over the next few years.
So for us, right, you've got some of the measurables that I'm sure you guys working, in both in real estate and doing the podcast are familiar with, right? Everything, we do a ton of digital work. So, clicks, likes, engagements online, right? And you're able to measure that stuff and show progress, right? Like we had done, prior to this year, a lot of our online engagement had been paid, right? So it was kind of, doing paid advertising through that. We've refocused this year a ton on our organic, and have seen, remarkable success on that side in terms of driving, organic, right? And on that, you look in there, right? Is it, how many interactions do you get from members of Congress to things that you're putting out there, right? We're starting to see a pretty good uptick in things like that. Are they retweeting stuff that you do to highlight either a meeting or a conversation? You got all of that. The events, right? Again, I kind of mentioned our events. Like we're seeing larger and larger crowds and more interest come to our events. Again, that's a measurable. And then on the legislative side, right? We're looking at, we got this, worked really closely with NAR, with a lot of the industry on increasing the capital and state and local tax deductions, right? That was a huge one for us, for homeowners. And this should cover, right? Like at $40,000 on this state and local tax cap, this covers like 99% of homeowners in America. So, we're in a good spot. And frankly, we get to come back and have this discussion again in 5 years. So
we'll schedule it right now. Let's book it.
What do you want your membership to be? Tell me what you want your membership to be. What's your goal there?
Yeah, again, I think that's the, we're able to measure these the numbers and the goals. We're at 10 million right now. It's been, I'd say slow and steady growth. What I'd really like to see, and maybe like less focusing on the overall numbers, is like a core of 250 to 500,000 folks who are there as like advocates when we say, I need you to pick up the phone and call your member of Congress today, right? Because if we can get, several thousand phone calls in, or several thousand emails or social media comments generated every time we have an activation, that's what moves the needle on the Hill.
Okay.
I got a follow-up question, and then we'll take it out with the question we ask every guest at the end. You've mentioned events a couple times. Real estate agents love events, especially if there's a little, snacks and perhaps an alcoholic beverage. Is that something that they can partner with you on? Could they reach out to you and say, hey, I want to do an event in Oakland, California. Is that something that they can partner with you to do, or no? Yeah,
I absolutely. Right. Like I think I mentioned some of the partner organizations that we work with. We have been focused in areas where they have kind of deep community relationships here. But no, I think that is this is one of the things as we grow and we expand are looking to do more of, right? So I think it's absolutely. Please reach out. We'd love to kind of expand that group of local partners for these things, right? And
do you have a specific email or link that you could give us? We'll put it in the show notes if someone wanted to reach out. They were really passionate about putting together one of these events. Yeah,
sure. You can email me directly. It's callen@propertyownersalliance.org.
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes too. And get ready. Your inbox.
I am sorry about that. We were just going to put it in the show notes for you.
Your inbox about to get weird. Okay, final question we ask everyone. We're going to have you put on your real estate agent and or brokerage hat for just a second. What's the one thing you'd implement today to help your business for the rest of 2025 and into 2026?
So I think on this, right, and it's something I've picked up from the Hill, and I wouldn't say that people aren't doing it, right, but it's a very much like cut to the chase and be upfront and honest about all of the things there, right? And I would assume, right, that successful agents are doing this already, right? Yeah. Don't sugarcoat it. Give me the pros, the cons, why this is a good decision, why this is not a bad decision, everything that I need to make that decision. And frankly, this was one that I picked up on the Hill, put it in 3 bullet points.
Yeah. I actually read that doing some of my research. That's one of your guiding mantras, right? If you can't put it in 3 bullet points, you don't know it, or something like that.
I had a boss when I was working on the Hill who, like, he was very good and wanted to know what are the 3 most important. He was a prosecutor, right? So he could riff, he could make these he could make these the arguments and get there on his own. But it's like, what are the 3 most important points here? And a lot of times, right, you're looking at a 1,000-page bill.
Right.
What are the 3 things I need to know about this for South Carolina? Right.
Right. Get to the point. Get to the point.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's probably it. Boil it down to get to the point.
Yeah. That's a great thing to leave it with.
Colin, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Congrats on the success within just a short amount of time. I think it's important to reinforce you guys just started this thing a few years ago. And we'll have you back on in a few years and see where things are at. Hopefully it's continued to expand, and we're big fans. So keep it up. Appreciate you.
We'll have you on sooner.
Thanks
once
much.
You repeal property tax. So the day you do that, you can come right back on. So
that sounds good.
We'll get to work. All right. Thanks, Colin.
All right. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
We don't like secrets around here. Subscribe now and share with other agents and brokerages. You just might learn something.